these gays. They're trying to murder me.
What do I think of her?
Yes.
I don't think of her.
Goodbye. I'm off. Write about that in the New York fucking Post.
Matt's mad at me because I'm cyberbullying on the internet in a way that he thinks is devaluing my intelligence and my work here on this podcast. And you know what? I have to say he's incorrect.
I wouldn't say it's devaluing anything. I would just say that like we set a time, we have a set schedule. You're like, let's go. And then you're like, not now, mommy's cyberbullying. I need to get some dunks in.
Okay, well, I would just interrogate maybe for you why, as a man, you feel like it is your duty to tell a woman to swim in from the gorgeous lake she was floating on to talk about a woman with a ponytail for whom...
Oh, you think this is on me?
Yeah.
You think this is my doing?
You think that
I don't think anyone will believe that, babe.
You think you can come in here and tell me how to live my life? In the great words of Ariana Grande, you can call me a diva and I'll just say, okay. Yeah, welcome to Eating for Free, the podcast recording live from the absolute edge of the like I was about to call it the California coastline. The California coastline of the mind, the Adirondack Mountains in north New York.
There's a spiritual kid in between them now. Yes, there's a tether.
What happens when we talk about geography on this podcast?
We get lost.
The Adirondack
compasses don't work in our brain here
in California. No. If you don't listen to Patreon, I'm deep in the Adirondacks right now, in a place that blissfully got internet during COVID-19. So we love and support.
I think your internet's better in this cabin than it is in Philly, which is kind of hilarious. Like our video episode was even easier to do, like less glitches and all.
I think we just have bad internet in Philadelphia.
It's a sign you need to move out to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
and just
sign
stay
to
tethered.
Return to tradition. Yeah, no, I'm way out here. I was just on a lake. If you can't tell, I'm getting a little bit tanner from literally sunbathing in a bikini all week, which is literally what I needed to do. But I gotta say, guys, this lake life, I might become a lake life girl. Like I might
just
get
lake things.
I might get a parasailer. I might get a swim platform.
Oh my god!
I might get swimming goggles. I might get a swim cap.
Work.
I might get water shoes. I might get water shoes with the grippy toes.
Okay, no, I needed that so bad. When I was at the lake last time, I was like, they're on it. I wore flip flops, and it was like a dangerous activity. Could have slipped and died multiple times.
But I loved it. Well, this is all sandy, girl, because we know how to live. But somebody who doesn't know how to live properly with any sense of normalcy or non-chaotic energy is Miss Ariana Grande, who we are back again to talk about for the second time in a row. I have a genuine confession to make to everybody. What did I say last week, Matthew, about this particular episode?
That it was going to spiral out of control into multiple parts.
Yes.
And here we are in part 2 of question mark.
Listen.
I saw part 3 in the draft, so I was like,
the Justin Bieber series went places. This also might go places. There's an evolving story here. And I found some things that I think are very, very interesting. And what we're going to be focusing on today is really the beginning of Ariana Grande's career. We kind of mapped out her and Ethan's like conflicting career development and just like differing paths in life. He was a quote unquote normal until very recently, and in many ways is still a normal.
And compared to Ariana.
Yeah, we kind of tracked that over the last like timeline that we put together last week. But what I'm going to do this week is, what we have done with Justin Bieber. We love a primary source. We love an interview. We love a celebrity feature. I have kind of constructed a real deep dive into the first 3-4-ish years of Ariana Grande's career post Nickelodeon, pre and post Nickelodeon. It is going to really get into her kind of like sense of self, her evolving identity to the public, and really what I think is the main story here, a narrative about her that has been constructed to drive a very specific set of clicks and engagements from her fans, from the audience, from like really America at large. I mean, Ariana Grande, for those of you who don't know or weren't around, kind of came onto the scene. I would say in many ways, people are going to crucify me for this, but the origins of their careers are different. But she kind of existed in a niche like Billie Eilish, where it was like the young kids loved her, right? And the oldies, which I think happens with any generation, but it was a very
the parents
specific,
of such children.
It was a very specific kind of technological divide. And I'm using Billie as just the most recent example of this, I would say. I'm not necessarily saying that like they are the first people to ever have this reaction. I think this has been around, as we have said in Pop Music That Fucks, really with any new generation of artist where young people bolster a career and then the oldies don't get it, And
well, I know a lot of like the stuff we're going to talk about today is kind of how Ariana's kept in contrast to like Selena and Justin and Miley, who tabloid wise spiral way more out of control and way more outside the favor of parents than Ariana, who's a lot more palatable. And it's going to be really interesting to see how much, just from what I read earlier, how different and how much has changed since her debut to now in terms of how she relates to fans and the public. I
will say we're going to start with something that I left out of last week because I wanted to really start the engines this week. So I'm going to start with a quote from Scooter Braun in an NPR interview from 2022. Honestly. I know. Isn't it funny how all of this comes back to Scooter Braun and sometime in the last 15 years? It's almost like the center of the hurricane. Okay. So the interviewer Williams says, outside of your clients, Scott, what do you think has been the most challenging moment of your career thus far? And we're going to read a lot this episode. So sit back, everyone. I can't promote drinking anymore, but do grab a Swisher, do grab a joint, settle into your car ride, and really just sink in because there's a lot of profiles and features and reading we're going to do. So Brown starts with, quote, yeah, I don't want to get back into it because I don't want it becoming like a headline, Look, I think the most challenging thing in my career is when you get to there's a great line in Batman movie where he says, I think he says something like, if you do it well long enough, even you become the villain. I think sometimes when you're doing it at a large scale for a long time, people want to create a story of who you are without knowing you. And I think that was really tough for me for a while because I don't think I had self-love at the time. I was too dependent, which actually probably made me great at my job. I was too dependent on the validation of others. I worked my butt off because I was so desperately needed other people to see how hard I worked and to give that validation that I was good at what I did. And it wasn't until certain things happened in my life that I was forced to really look inward and realize that I was enough, Like, it's not like it's an ego thing to look at yourself and say, I'm enough. But I don't need that outside validation anymore. And it maybe happened because I wasn't getting the validation I wanted. I was all of these different things. And I was like, I got to choose to love me before I can ask anyone else. And I've been hearing that my whole life. We all have. You got to love yourself before you can love somebody else. And at the same time, I was like, oh, I love myself, but I loved what I created for myself. I didn't love my essence. Now,
it's a little haunting there at the end.
It is. He's talking about the Taylor Swift situation, obviously, like you live long enough, you did this great thing for this person, and then, your career takes a sharp turn and everyone thinks of you as the villain. That's an interesting fun fact. But we also have talked Scooter extensively in our Justin Bieber series. And unless you didn't know this ever in your life, Scooter is also Ariana Grande's manager. So...
It's like I was just saying earlier, how differing the press and like careers of these artists is crazy when they have like the same people and teams in between them.
It's almost like who they are is built, not necessarily who they really are. So we're going to jump to 2012. And Matt, I want you to just click on this Shape magazine link for me because...
Sorry, the image being squished of Ariana's mouth.
So, this was one of the first major interviews that Ariana Grande got in Shape magazine. 10 fun fitness facts with Ariana Grande. So, if you want to know who is one of the most asked about celebrities online above Miley Cyrus and Jennifer Aniston, just Google Ariana Grande. The adorable actress, singer, and dancer stars as Cat Valentine in the oh-so-popular Nickelodeon show Victorious. And her first single, Put Your Hearts Up, recently had a huge debut on the pop charts. And yeah, she also has more than 1.2 million Twitter followers to boot. At just 18 years old, the talented starlet is taking Hollywood and the internet by storm. But through all this fame, we love that she has such a healthy attitude when it comes to her body image and all things fitness.
Oh my God, the 2012 of it all. Can I read this?
Yeah, why don't you read this quote from Ariana?
Too many young girls have eating disorders due to low self-esteem and a distorted body image. I think it's so important for girls to love themselves and to treat their bodies respectfully.
So they say that eating, working out, and loving herself every step of the way is what makes a great example for our daughters, too.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, you can tell who this is for.
That's why we were excited when the beautiful, down-to-earth young lady shared with us 10 fun fitness secrets. Read on for more. So she loves doing elliptical to Nikki and Bruno. Hiking is her favorite hobby. She uses dance rehearsals as cardio. She meditates on a daily basis. She gets tons of exercise chasing her puppy around her backyard. She thinks coconut water is the best drink in the world. Oh my God, the coconut water tells you exactly what time this is. Salmon is her favorite healthy dinner. I eat it practically every day. It's high in omega-3s and it's great lean protein. Madonna is her fitness role model. Almonds and cashews keep her energized.
Oh, no.
And her healthy fitness philosophy is eat healthy, drink lots of water, exercise daily, and meditate. So
this really is drink lots of water vibes.
Yeah. So this is really like the first time Ariana gets she has press around, but in 2012.
This is before her big album, Yours Truly, right? This is truly before it all.
This is really just what I wanted to kind of append this with of this is who Ariana Grande is to the world right now. Why don't you click on her website link just to kind of get a sense for this was literally just Tumblr. This was Tumblr.
Oh, I was about to say it's very that. Oh, also, my God.
Remember when Twit Pics? Remember how there was Twit Pics? So
oh my God,
that Twit Pics videos, style, press, and about Ariana.
Every single image on this webpage is literally a Tumblr photo blog from 2012. The bonsoir,
I'm going to play this clip, which you heard very briefly at the beginning of the podcast, of Ariana interviewing Kristen Stewart at Now Matt. This was, I think, the wildest part of all of this. Did you see this video when I posted it in the group chat?
I did. Yeah, it was very interesting.
So everyone,
the vibe is great.
I'm here with Kristen Stewart. You look so beautiful tonight. Are you nervous?
I'm a little nervous. Yeah, of course. I think you get a little desensitized as it goes along. We've done this 4 times, so to know that it's the last one is we all feel a little bit more in our bodies. It's really a time to absorb it.
All right, so I have a fun question for you. These are your outfits that you've worn to all the
This is so much fun.
to the Twilight
Thank you
premieres.
so much.
So much
You're welcome. Which is your favorite outfit and which is your least favorite outfit?
Well, I really like all of them. It's funny that I started
They're all
off
amazing.
here.
They told me to ask you this.
Yeah, right. What is wrong? No. Well, this is Balenciaga, and I'm working with those guys right now. So that is just a strange coincidence, which is very cool. And great.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your big night.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so will you take a question from the Blood Bowl?
No.
No?
Yes, of course. Come on.
Okay.
The Blood Bowl. There's no blood in here.
The awkward laughs.
All right. Taylor Swift writes, a lot of breakup songs. Is the guy always to blame for heartbreak? No, come on now. Who knows?
Good answer.
I'll
Quick
ask her.
answer.
Hopefully.
Do you want one more?
Okay.
Okay.
The side part is still killing me.
Which breakup has what are you doing? Which breakup has affected you the most? Dead Mal 5 and Kat Von D. Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez, or Skrillex and Ellie Goulding. Twilight Song. Twilight Song. Who broke up with the Twilight Song? I'll go kill him.
I don't know. All right. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Ariana,
Congrats.
truly, I don't know why I'm here. I'm just following it along.
So this is kind of, again, just a little way to round out a little bit about what kind of press Ariana was doing at this time. This was on air with Ryan Seacrest, November 13th, 2012 at the Breaking Dawn Part 2 premiere in LA, and she is this like literal really nobody. Like she's there almost like as a like tween tie-in to get people to watch this, but also I think almost like kind of funny, like jokey, like, oh, let's bring this like little pop tweenster right from Nickelodeon over. Because at that point she had only like 1 or 2 singles. She was not a singer to everybody, right? Like she had sang, but like that was not who Ariana Grande was. This was pre Ariana Grande. Like
it is the primer, like we're getting there.
This interaction would never happen at Ariana Grande's career stage, like 2 years later even. And it would not have gone that well, right? Like Kristen would have actually probably been in Ariana's debt. Like she would have had, the positions would have been flipped, you know? Like, and just by the way, the Balenciaga dress that Kristen's talking about is Nicolas Casquier's Balenciaga 2012. Really good runway. But anyways, I digress. So let's skip to 2013. So in that 2022 interview, I'm going to jump back to Scooter. And Scooter's interview is actually going to kind of be the kind of connecting thread for this episode. So he says in that 2022 interview, quote, "I'm very proud of what we've done together and what he's accomplished," speaking of Justin Bieber. And you know, the similar thing, I saw Ariana Grande singing a cover of one of Justin's song on YouTube. And I was like, how is this girl not blowing up? And why is she not being paid attention to by Nickelodeon? So much that they didn't even sign her when she was on one of their shows. Same thing, you know, seeing, quote, Gangnam Style and being like, I don't speak Korean, but I know this is a vibe. I want to do this horse dance. There's just things you hear and go, what is that? So Ariana gets scouted by Scooter.
I mean, you can't deny his like prescience and like he really did know how to pick.
He scouts her while she's at Nickelodeon, and Nickelodeon had not signed her for anything, right? The story kind of goes that she had this big dream of being a record, you know, label pop star, and the studios were kind of like, or the labels were kind of like, you need to like have an audience, right? Like we can't just like make you a pop star. And so that's kind of how Nickelodeon comes into the picture. And then Scooter scouts her because at the time she was uploading stuff to YouTube as well. And I am going to play one of those right now because it is one of my favorite videos on the internet.
Kind of like really, Justin Bieber too, honestly, like the YouTube origins.
So this was 10 years ago, right? She was on Nickelodeon at the time, but this was something that she had kind of a reputation for doing. So this is Ariana in early 2013 covering Imogen Heap's Just for Now.
Just for now. Just for now.
She's looping this on her.
I know, the layering. She's really live with like the synth board and everything.
It's what I always wanted.
Jeez.
So that was her at 19, making basically like her own loops and her own, you know, recording tracks.
God, that's some real raw talent. I know she talks about an interview later, like how she got kind of started in garage band and stuff, like doing it herself. It's really impressive to see, honestly.
No, and that's kind of what I wanted to bring into this because, you know, this is what she was uploading. And I think Scooter, for all of our criticisms of Scooter, like you did say, has a genuine eye for talent and has like an eye for musical artistry, I think. And now there are criticisms we can always make of like the kinds of artistry he values and the kinds of ways he, you know, markets that artistry.
It's not like these are the only people who can make music this good, but they're in the right positions to be like taken by. these
now,
talent managers.
This is like something I think like you could see this doing well now on the internet, right? Like if she had come into the internet at a different time. And I think that like watching her, and then if you like watch her also, I believe this was for Sweetener. There's like behind the scenes videos of her recording Sweetener and like some of the tracks on Sweetener, or it was either Sweetener or Positions, but like she uses that same vocal layering technique, which is pretty common, but like it's just interesting to kind of see her in this light outside of the like manufactured pop diva, because with a lot of women, especially in pop music, I think one thing that frustrates me about Ariana Grande is this like general media narrative that she is this like bimbo dummy with a high pony that cuts off her blood circulation, when really like if you watch anything that she does with music, she is both highly skilled and highly talented and has like a mastery over the form that I think is completely erased by the media narrative around her. And I think also makes it easy for people in the media to pin her a certain way in Scandal, because for the rest of the world, they don't think of Ariana Grande as like a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, 17-year-old layering vocals for an Imogen Heap cover, by the way. Like Imogen Heap. It's not like she was doing like a Shania Twain cover. She's doing Imogen Heap, right? And like they don't think of that girl. They don't think of the girl that is like extremely technically involved in all of her albums, or the one who has like really such a good pitch and such a good eye for music and ear for music. Like,
I mean, now that voice you cannot deny. Like,
no,
to
you
be
cannot
crazy
deny
to deny that voice. But I can see how they could. There's this narrative kind of created around her, especially now, where it's like, oh, it's all kind of, you know, it's the industry. She has a great talent, but she's just thrown in here. She doesn't do anything about it. And I think we get into it later. But like, not only was she making her own stuff, but she's very serious about like collaboration and working with like industry leaders. She's not just thrown in the mix.
So they don't know this at the time in the 24th. I mean, the fans probably do, but this wasn't yet part of her brand. But in 03, 28, 2013, she talks about her breakout single, The Way, with Mac Miller, which all of you know by now. If this was not on your iPod in senior year of high school, like, I don't know what to tell you. I think I must have listened to this song my senior year. Like, that was my first serious relationship with a guy, was my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Like, I had dated guys before, but I had my first boyfriend and I made him a mixtape with this song because he was also like an Ariana. We were both like Ariana Grande super fans. So shout out to you wherever you are. I'm a girl now, so. So yeah, that we learn later that the person who actually taught her how to do what she's doing in that Imogen Heap video was Mac Miller. So this is to Billboard. And she says in March 28th, 2013, quote, Grande served as a studio engineer as Miller, the MC whose 2011 debut Blue Slide Park, hit #1 on the Billboard 200 chart, recorded his vocals for The Way. And the rapper even taught the pop star how to manage Pro Tools while they shared studio time. When he was recording his part, I was baking cookies in the kitchen upstairs. And every time I took a break, I came into the studio to bring him a new batch of cookies and something else amazing had been written. If you want to motivate Mac Miller to do anything, just bake cookies. When I do Sam and Cat, and when I act as Cat, of course, I'm still going to be there for my younger fans. This is later in the interview. But I'm also growing up. I'm also almost 20. I'm not going to do anything crazy, but I want to do music that I'm passionate about. I'm finally at an age where I can do the music I grew up loving, which was urban pop, 90s music. I grew up listening to the divas, so I'm very happy to finally do urban pop. I hope that it's received well, and it has been so far. Now, we're going to skip ahead to August 2013. The Way has a total breakout, and everyone loves Ariana Grande, right? Like, things go pretty bonanza for her after this. In August 2013, she is the 17 cover girl, and she shares her thoughts in this on Tough Times. Find out how she's tuned out the haters and become a star. Now, we later there's like a lot of different discussions around what this is and who this is talking about. Sam and Cat was on its first season. Victorious had ended, I believe. And she says to 17, quote, I work with someone who told me they'd never like me. But for some reason, I just felt like I needed her approval, so I started changing myself to please her. It made me stop being social and friendly. I was so unhappy. Which, again, I think there are a few ways that we could read into this. The fact that she has never spoken to Victoria Justice, I think, publicly at least.
Yeah.
That's what most people think. Some people have said Jeanette McCurdy, but again, like, we'll get into Jeanette a little
That I
later.
doubt as much, but yeah.
No. And again, like, I think that there was, and we get into this a little bit later, but a lot of the narrative was like Jeanette and Ariana were beefing. And in hindsight, I don't see how anyone brings that up now in 2023, which I've seen a lot of, like, oh, even Jeanette McCurdy didn't like her, right? Like, Jeanette knew that this lady was a bitch or a cheater or whatever, what have you. It's like, they were both being traumatized by fucking, what's that man's name? Like,
God,
they were both being
it.
traumatized by him, right?
Yeah.
Dan Schneider was traumatizing them both. If you were fucking 18 years old and you had this like 40-something-year-old man covering your feet in chocolate syrup and forcing alcohol on you and doing God knows what else to you, do you think you'd be a nice person to be around? Do you think you'd be an easy person to work with?
Also, it was such a bad faith reading to think that Jeanette didn't like her from her memoir. Like, when you read it, you can tell it's from a place of like, at this time I was insecure and I felt this way about her, but it was not serious in that way.
What do abusers love to do? They love to make one person the special person and one person the like outsider. And it was pretty clear, I think, from anything being told about Sam and Kat in retrospect, that Ariana Grande and Jeanette were pitted against each other. And Ariana Grande got the quote unquote favored treatment, which we won't read into because the ladies never said anything on the record about what that might have entailed for her. And Jeanette got the victimizing treatment, right? Like they were pitted against each other. That worked in the favor of Netflix. Not Netflix, I keep calling them Netflix. Nickelodeon. So we're going to skip again now to later in August. She's doing this huge run of press about her albums and about like, her brand new debut as a pop star. I'm just like getting this. So this was Yours Truly, which was the one, her first album. It's like a spotlight from above and her head's tilted to the side. This is not the one of her posing on the chair, which everyone confuses Yours Truly and My Everything as the same album, but they are not. So this is about Yours Truly. I almost did it as well just now. This is an L. Ariana Grande on her debut album and the thrill of hearing herself on the radio. Quote, what was it like to transform from writing songs solo to working with seasoned songwriters and producers for the album? And she says, quote, I grew up writing songs in my room on GarageBand, and I would make the beats just out of layering my vocals over and over again, very Imogen Heap inspired. But when I started working on the album, my label hooked me up with all these incredible producers. It was an easy transition for me because I was open to it. I wasn't like, oh, I don't want to work with these people. I want to write my own stuff. It was like, this is cool because they're the best in the business and they know what they're doing. They love the sound that I love and we can do this together. And again, I just like, I bring that in because I do really love hearing about Ariana's artistry. I think it's something that we don't talk about enough. I think we talk about her vocals. But again, and I really hate to bring Grimes into this. This was something Grimes
I know. I was thinking about this as well, like the parallels.
No, but this is something Grimes used to talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I am a producer. Like, I'm a producer and I am a like pop star in my own right. I'm a singer in my own right, lyricist. But like, the work of women on their albums is so diminished. Whereas men, when like Justin Bieber gets involved on his album, when Rockstar gets involved on the album, it's like Justin Bieber like tortured himself in the studio. He's working all these long hours. And then it's like top 10 bikini tips with skinny legend Ariana Grande. And it's like nobody thinks about the fact that maybe Ariana was getting tortured in the studio too, working long hours and like, grueling beat making and like really technical work. Like, they don't talk about that. That kind of work gets obscured. And it, I think, is really important in this episode to bring that back to the forefront, because what people try to do to Ariana's image, and in many ways, the way that Scooter Braun markets her in relationship to the other artists in his catalog, the most famous of which is a man, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, how has it been adjusting to your increased fame and celebrity? So she says, quote, since The Way came out, a lot has happened. A lot has changed. I've been followed around by people with cameras, which is insane to me. I don't really understand it. I never will. But it's okay. I was talking to my managers, Allison and Scooter, about it, and they were like, listen, You don't need to do what makes you happy. Don't worry about anything else. Don't get upset. You signed up for this. You're an artist. You're an actress. I'm not too comfortable with the whole celebrity thing, but I think I'm doing well with the music thing, and that's what makes me happy. And then she's asked, what drew you to working with Braun? And she says, quote, he's got his hands full with some of the biggest acts in the world right now. I was nervous that I was just going to be in this group of incredibly time-demanding acts and not get any help. No, listen very closely to what she says, everybody, because this is the darkest part to me. And this, I think, really sets up her behavior later down the line. So the thing that Scooter is incredible at, though, is making each and every one of his acts feel like they're the only act. He's an incredible businessman. He makes all the right moves. He knows music, too. The reason I signed up with him is because we had a meeting at my house, and he was equally as passionate about my project as I was, if not more. He was like, here are the things in your past I would have changed and done differently. And he told me that honestly, and I agreed with him. He's such a good friend, too. I'll call him to talk about boys, and he'll roll his eyes on the other end of the phone.
Gulp.
Gulp. Now, what happened the last time Scooter Braun made friends with a minor?
Stop.
Let's think about that for just a sec. Like, let's all think about what happened the last time Scooter Braun made friends with an 18-year-old. Where that went. It's
just never good to blur these relationships, especially at this caliber.
You either, die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become Taylor Swift's public enemy number one. So Q&A with Ariana Grande on Yours Truly and Judging Miley Cyrus. Now, again, this is where the other pop stars start to really trickle into her narrative that is being built, right? 2013, and really listen to what everything that is being said here by these different journalists and Ariana herself. The very first 2 years of any pop star's career is going to be what defines them, right?
Yeah, like how do you relate to the grander culture? Like, how do we compare you?
It's a really good way, I think, of kind of explaining it. It's like in internet fandom, friend of the show and local legend Kenny, one of the co-hosts of Big Soy Naturals, our sister podcast, said in a conversation with me way back in the day, I think this was during the pandemic, and we were watching I think it was like, God, Bye Sister 2, Electric Boogaloo. Like, I think it was like one of those, it was like when Trisha got involved or something. There was like...
Was it when Shane Dawson was like getting canceled again? Like doing that live?
Maybe.
Yeah,
and then there
that
were
was like in the middle of
people
2020,
jumping in and catching strays. And Kenny said this thing to me that was like, for internet stars especially, and I think this is true of pop stars, the way that you allow your fans to interact with you in those first 2 years of you really coming up is going to be what it is forever, right?
Yep.
Like that behavior gets learned and then it gets baked into the culture, and you can become a new person, you can switch careers, but if those people follow you around, that is what is being
and
said about
the
you.
people
That
from
is
the
how they are
beginning,
interacting you.
the fans you make from the very beginning are very powerful. Like, people like to think, oh, they get really big, and the people from the beginning are just kind of whatever, what have you. But no, they're the ones who like set up the fan pages. They like get the culture going. They're the ones who create like the lore and mystery
They're the
around
ones that,
you.
Yeah, the lore, the mystery, that they run all the accounts. They are the ones bringing up now on TikTok that one time Naya Rivera caught you in the house when she was dating Big Sean. Those are the people that are in your fan base. And I think it's just really important for this episode. What I really wanted to do was kind of go back to the formative years and see where all of these narratives really began. So this is with Rolling Stone, September 11th, 2013. You recently performed on the 2013 MTV Music Awards. I'm sure you caught Miley Cyrus's Infinite Twerk performance, to which Ariana says, again, the person is like, let's find a way to pit these people against each other, right? Like, Ariana. I'm
sure you saw Miley. Like, what do you have to say?
Ariana is the good girl. Miley is the bad girl. Let's ask the good girl to judge the bad girl, which smartly, and I think probably this was Scooter. Like, I'm going to be cynical. I think Scooter was definitely like really grilling this. Like, we cannot go on the offensive with these other girls. But also, I think this is just who Ariana really is. Like, if you read any of her interviews, and we will, like, you'll see this come out a lot in different ways. Quote, she looked like she was having the time of her life. She's happy. I'm happy. We're both doing our different things. There's nothing wrong with having fun. Nothing wrong. I think all the people who are seeing mean things about it and who are judging need to spend less time judging other people and more time worrying about how to have as much fun as she's having in life right now.
I mean, amen.
Amen. Now, again, we're not going to get into the politics of the twerking video. Like, we've beaten that, I think, into the ground.
Oh, God, no.
And
not 10 years later.
We're not.
Expect
Ariana Grande to understand the nuances of like 2013 representation politics on Tumblr discourse. Like, we know better than to dive into that, right? We could always find something to pick apart. I'm thinking from like pop star brain, like this is a pretty rational response as like just someone so disconnected.
I mean,
from
she's
the wider culture.
legitimately pulling the I'm not going to get involved, like, at this point.
I'm going to bring in one bad thing. Do you want to click this link with me?
Yeah.
You know, Joan.
Should I read this headline?
Why don't you?
Justin Bieber lighting up in possible weed smoking pics.
Now, I'm going to read you this copy in TMZ. Quote, Justin Bieber may have been photographed smoking at a party again, only this time Biebs got snapped sitting next to the celeb he was reportedly banging.
Excuse me?
Banging, Matt. She's 19. Or sorry, 20. She's 20 at this point.
They don't even use that language now. I mean, they'll say something just as shitty.
The photo has been all over social media today, showing Justin Bieber sitting next to a girl that looks a hell of a lot like Ariana Grande, and he appears to be holding a long joint. As you may recall,
it's called a blunt,
Bieber was photographed similarly back in January when he was seen holding what looked like a joint at a Newport Beach party. Sources close to both the singers say the girl in the photo is not Ariana Grande, and the pic was photoshopped to look like Bieber was lighting up. However, our crack art department begs to differ, saying the light source seems consistent. Now,
first of all, they really thought it was Ariana Grande in this photo? This is crazy.
I can kind of see it, but I don't.
Maybe back on like 2013 iPhone resolution, but
can I just say
that he's definitely lighting up.
19-year-old smoking weed, like I know we like to
literally get a hobby than picking on the kids.
We aren't progressing as a society, but can you imagine if like a big news source, and I guess this would make news on like Fox News, but can you imagine if like somebody tweeted at us and was like, OMG, Taylor Swift seen lighting a bong? It's like,
okay, I mean, like work.
It's legal in 20 million states at this point. Like, work.
In
like,
2013, I'm pretty sure in California you could get a medical card. Like, wasn't that crazy. This was not Schedule 1 substance.
No. But okay, now September 7th, 2013.
No, October 7th. Yeah,
October 7th. You're right. You're right. Ariana Grande's ex-boyfriend, Jai Brooks, accuses her of cheating with Nathan Sykes. Now,
what's crazy? Both these articles came out the same day, actually.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did, Matt. That's so interesting that you noticed that. That's so weird. I did
just
not
a little
know.
factoid I thought I would share.
Now, Matt, just for my comedy enjoyment, can you look up the Janoskians on the Ariana Grande wiki?
The fact that we're using Ariana Grande wiki at this point.
No, the wiki girls.
I know, Ariana, it's like saving us actually.
I haven't been using them too much just to get like different like magazine covers, but this the way that they describe who the Janoskians are, it's just Jai Brooks is who you'd be looking at.
Yeah. I'm on the page now.
So the Janoskians, for those of you who don't know, according to the Ariana Grande wiki, they have Jai Brooks has a twin brother named Luke Brooks and an older brother named Bo Brooks. He is part of a group called the Janoskians, or just another name of silly kids in another nation skip, with 4 other friends, Luke Brooks, Bo Brooks, and Daniel Sahuni, who have been posting comedy videos on YouTube since September 2011. Their channel currently has over 2 million subscribers and over 100 million views worldwide. Ariana Grande's ex-boyfriend, Jai, accuses her of cheating with Nathan Sykes. And this is going to be one or 2 or 3 different like relationship articles they bring into this, just to kind of like append like the relationship stuff going on in the background. And what we have heard a lot in the Ethan Slater drama is like, well, Ariana Grande has a history of cheating on her boyfriends and on other people and being a homewrecker. And I was like, I've never heard of this before. I mean, I've heard of it, but like, I was like, the Janoskians, I forgot about this. And I just like wanted to see what the real story was. And the real story, by the way, is not as scandalous as TikTok has made it out to be.
Also, these are like from 2 20-year-olds at the time. Like, can it really be that scandalous?
Guys, what? Okay, I just have to ask, were you a perfect person when you were fucking 19 years old? Were you making great relation? If I went back and I interviewed your 19-year-old era boyfriend, what would he have to say about you? You know? Would you want him talking about you to everyone? Would that be fun for you? It wouldn't be fun for me. I certainly know that for a fact. God fucking forbid that man ever opens his mouth, right? We were demons back in the day. So Jai, a member of the YouTube comedy group, I'm getting this from E! News, the Janoskians, accused Sam and Cat star of cheating on him with Nathan Sykes in a lengthy rant posted October 7th. Quote, yes, I was cheated on. Yes, it does suck. Yes, I was left for another man. I happen to be one of those people, and I'm in a situation where I am constantly reminded of it every day. Like anyone who has been cheated on, it has been tough for me, but I'm finally ready to move on. Nathan may be a top bloke or a sweet person. I love that you just Googled Nathan as if I don't have a link that says.
I have already looked at it. I was just looking at their other pages. Okay. I want to get their Instagram. I just saw you typing in Nathan Sykes. So God forbid I touched the Google Doc. He interfered with my life and did not respect my relationship. His actions caused me to not be able to sleep at night and to see the world and not see the world as a beautiful place. Nathan, if you read this, when you hold her hand, you better hold it tight because you are holding my world. Now, this is the 20-year-old of it all.
Okay. Listen to this. And you're like asking me to care that Ariana Grande cheated on this man. Okay. Listen to these words. He interfered with my life and did not respect my relationship. His actions caused me to not be able to sleep at night and not see the world as a beautiful place.
Girl.
Nathan, if you read this, when you hold her hand, you better hold it tight. Because
get a grip.
Are holding my world. I do wish you two happiness and a good life, and I hope everything works out.
Literally get
And I'm supposed to be like, wow, fucking homewrecker Ariana. Are you psychos? Like, you literal weirdos. Like, you read that and you were like, oh, poor Jai Brooks. Okay, so Ariana responds to this and says, quote, woke up this morning in complete and utter shock. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. You told me if I didn't come back to you, you would make me look bad to the entire world. Ooh. I'm no longer afraid of you or your lies anymore.
Oh.
And do you guys know what Jai Brooks says to that accusation? That if Ariana Grande left him, he would destroy her reputation? Do you know what Jai Brooks says to that? Quote, yeah, I really said that. So much respect lost for a lie that it's actually unbelievable. Matt. He said, yeah, I really said that.
Like, there we go. There we go. What more can be said?
Now, this is my favorite part. She also says, quote, I'm going to be the lady my mother raised and carry myself with class and dignity. But I will never be any man's press opportunity.
There you go.
Work.
Exactly.
It's always okay to defend yourself. My fans know what kind of person I am. Never let any man discredit you or the values you were raised with. I'm finally happy. Words can't hurt me anymore. No,
there you go.
It's just interesting that Ethan Slater is like just some poor guy who got preyed on by Ariana Grande, the big scary demon succubus with a magical vagina. And he's just like, he had a baby, and oh my goodness, like I can't believe that she would do this to him.
Like, how old is this like misogynistic narrative of like the woman, like the temptress? Like, it's like, we need to come up with something new, guys.
Meanwhile, Ariana Grande is the demon witch with a magical pussy that can ruin any man she looks at, right? But little Ethan baby Slater is just a little boy who can't do anything, and he's so sad and vulnerable, and I can't believe Ariana Grande would prey on him when he was having a vulnerable moment after having children. It's like, die then perish. Okay?
No, that's what I'm saying. If you have this POV, like, good luck finding a healthy relationship in your own life.
By the way, here's what Nathan Sykes really looks like. I will say Ariana Grande loves a guy who's gay, and I respect her for that. She loves a guy who's gay. So Ariana Grande, quote, I'm not comfortable with being completely forwardly sexual, in November 13th in The Guardian. So, quote, I'm going to read this because this, Matt.
Do you want me to?
You read the Guardian one. No,
yes,
no.
I did. This one's crazy.
Why don't you read the first two graphs? So they're waiting outside of a hotel where Ariana Grande is camped out. Interesting how many celebrity profiles from this time are the interviewers going outside the hotel and talking to all the people that have been harassing the pop star all day. But I digress. Continue.
So, again, right from The Guardian. She hasn't come out all day, says 16-year-old Jessica, who has spent 6 hours waiting to meet the 20-year-old American singer. But she and her 2 friends are prepared to stick it out. Quote, she's different. She's sweet with her fans, she explains. She's not like Miley Cyrus. You can tell she goes through what every other teenager goes through. And then back to the author. Well, yes and no. Grande is very much not like Cyrus. Rather, she's a role model in the 1950s sense. A safe pair of hands who is unlikely to give parents the heebie-jeebies. There's also her Mariah Carey-ish multi-octave range, which distinguishes her from Miley's and Selena's in terms of raw ability.
Okay, crazy thing to say about Miley Cyrus's singing ability.
I know. I was like,
off.
damn, okay. Her Twitter biography says, my friends are family, and she treats them as such. Broadcasting gossip and personal milestones, she, as her newly hatched relationship with Nathan Skies of The Wanted, he is here with her today. She's sitting on his lap when I arrive, though she immediately rises and transfers herself to a sofa. And she arranges herself. She's a tiny, doll-like woman with big, worried brown eyes. He watches disappointedly. So what's it like, I ask him, to be a part of a pop couple? He smiles uncomfortably. Quote, it's not my interview.
Now, the author says, quote, the 2 met when he was headhunted. Okay. Guys, listen to this. And I'm supposed to feel bad about Jai Brooks. Okay. The 2 met when he was headhunted by her manager, Scooter Braun, who decided they would mesh well on an album duet. The brains behind Justin Bieber's career, Braun is clearly a skilled chemist. In Grande's case, he was working with impressive raw material, but deserves credit for the way it has been molded. To steer her away from Miley Selena clonehood, Kenny Babyface Edmonds was recruited to produce Yours Truly, accounting for the deliberately retro R&B feel that makes the almost baby diva vocals, and she appears to be approachable rather than sexy. Matt, I'm sorry, this isn't a genuinely crazy way to talk about a 20-year-old. She's not a
not to pull that like you couldn't do this today, but like no, I feel like you really couldn't.
You could.
They are, but
wouldn't speak to you ever again.
Yeah.
So there has been one not suitable for work misstep before the Matt.
I saw this. I was looking at this beforehand.
There has been one not suitable for work misstep. Before the album came out, a teaser shot was released showing her kneeling in front of a bed of roses in a basque and stockings. Fan reaction was so negative that the picture was withdrawn and doesn't appear anywhere in the album artwork. It was never the cover art, she maintains. It was a more mature shot, but I'm not comfortable enough to be forwardly sexual. Isaac, the choreographer, interjects. It was girly and feminine, and we're proud of it. Now, by the way, you guys, Isaac, the choreographer, keep that in your brain, okay? Keep Isaac, the choreographer.
Is this Isaac Boots?
Matt.
Sorry.
Shh. Okay. Hush. No, just keep Isaac, the choreographer, in your brain. Okay? Now, this cover story from Complex is one of the most disgusting, sexist shit I've ever heard in my life. Not really. I mean, I've heard a lot of sexist shit in my life. But this piece, Matt, I was reading it and I was like...
No, this one shook me. Me to the core.
This is a crazy way to write about a 20-year-old. So, Ariana Grande, Shadow of a Doubt, the 2013 cover story. Ariana Grande has a pretty face and a golden voice, but the chart-topping sitcom star has a dark side too. November 5th, 2013 in Complex. Now, as throngs of middle-aged women and studio execs scrape the remnants of their hummus boards, a petite 20-year-old brunette in a distressed sweater slips through the door and slides into the first corner banquette. You might imagine that the first female singer to post a #1 album in 3 years would demand a flashier arrival, but this isn't Ariana Grande's first rodeo. She was on Broadway at age 13 and had a role in Nickelodeon's Victorious in 2010 before she began starring in Sam and Cat in the late 2012. Her smile is little sister cute and she flashes it often. Why play it cool? There's no need to act the part of the jaded pop star when you're winning. Even if the menopausal women and midlife crisis-stricken men surrounding Grande at lunch aren't fussing over her, the music industry is, thanks to a seemingly superhuman vocal range weaponized in her 5-foot frame. I love her voice, says R&B legend Babyface, who produced her album, Yours Truly, which topped the Billboard's charts last August. Her tone is golden and it just feels good. She's got one of those feel-good voices we haven't heard in a long time. That voice has attacked pop radio this year like a drone strike.
Okay, now.
Off the mic, in the cut, her voice shifts from teen sitcom star sing-song to a snappy, serrated Italian lilt. It's a coup of charisma that explains why Grande was sought out and signed by Justin Bieber's manager, Scooter Braun. She's the real deal, says Braun, pitching her like a presidential candidate. I don't think she needs to worry about anything other than being who she is. He might be right, but the business of being Ariana Grande ain't exactly a 9-to-5 either. During a break from the 14-hour days she's pulling working on Sam and Cat, her music, a new album, is already in the works, and her assorted tasks involved with becoming the next great American sweetheart, she cracks wise about growing up Italian, her high-profile love life, and the ghosts and demons around her so that she can't help but notice as the whole world takes notice of her. Now, why don't you ask the interviewer questions and I'll respond as Ariana.
How often do you go back to Boca?
I barely get to go back home anymore. I miss my parents the most, my grandparents the most, and the beach.
What was your family like growing up?
My family was the stereotypical poker-playing, loud, friendly, food-shoving, loving Italian family.
Growing up Italian, did you ever fake having mafia ties to appear tougher?
I didn't have to fake anything. I'm kidding. We didn't have any mafia ties. I feel like we knew some of the mafia, but we're not involved for sure. I know somewhere down the line there were some friendships. No mafia ties, though. It wasn't something I bragged about.
You sound kind of domesticated for a 20-year-old. Where'd you get that from?
Myself. No one in my family is like me. Nobody. My mom is a CEO and owns a company that manufactures communications equipment for the Marines and the Navy. So she's not really the housewife type, if you get what I'm saying. She's the most badass, independent woman you'll ever meet, not cookies in the oven type. By the way, Eating for Free reveal that Ariana Grande is the product of generational war crime wealth. You heard it here first.
This question. Have you ever seen a real Hogwart?
What? No. What the hell's a Hogwart? That's a school miss thing.
Are you calling me Miss Thing?
Yes. Hogwarts is a school of witchcraft and wizardry.
Do you believe in aliens and ghosts?
Of course. We'd be so stupid to believe we're the only people here.
Have you ever seen an alien?
Not an alien, but I've seen a ghost and demon experience. We were in Kansas City a few weeks ago, and we went to this haunted castle and we're so excited. The next night, we wanted to go to the Stoll Cemetery, which is known as one of the 7 gates to hell on Earth. The Pope won't fly over it.
I love that you know that. Sorry, go on.
I felt the sick, overwhelming feeling of negativity over the whole car and smelled of sulfur, which is signs of a demon. And there was a fly in the car randomly, which is another sign of a demon. I was like, this is scary. Let's leave. I rolled down the windows before we left and said, we apologize. We didn't mean to disrupt your peace. Then I took a picture, and there are 3 super distinct faces in the picture. They're the textbook faces of demons.
Let's see the picture.
I deleted it. The next day, I tried to send my picture to my manager, and it said, this file can't be sent. It's 666 megabytes. I'm not kidding. I used to have a folder called Demons that had pictures with all the screen caps in it, but then weird things started happening to me, so I deleted it.
What weird things?
I was going to sleep about 2 weeks ago. I had just gotten off the phone, and as soon as I closed my eyes, I heard this really loud rumble right by my head. When I opened my eyes, it stopped immediately. But when I closed my eyes and it started again with whispers, every time I closed my eyes, I started seeing these really disturbing images with like red shapes. Then I opened my eyes and got back on the phone and was like, I'm really scared and don't want to go to bed tonight. And then I scooched over to the left side of my bed because that's where the best service is in my room. And there was this massive black matter. I don't know what it was.
What?
It was a cloud of something black right next to me. I started crying. I was on the phone like, what do I do? What do I do? And they said, tell it to F off. I thought, I'm not going to do that. It's going to be upset. So I'm just going to chill and not feed into it because all it wants is fear. It feeds on fear. I watched it move to the front of my bed. And when it fell asleep on the phone, I woke up and it was gone. The next night, my friend Tyler was staying with me. She said she was trying to sleep and her whole body felt paralyzed almost. And she described the same exact thing I saw.
Alrighty then. The Way is a pretty romantic song, but how bad was Mac Miller's breath in the video?
It wasn't bad if you like cigarettes and whiskey. It's certainly a distinct taste.
Are you annoyed when people compare you to Mariah Carey?
At first, I think it's an obvious comparison to draw because of the range and style of throwback R&B. But as you listen to the whole album, yours truly, you get to know my sound. You get to know Ariana. If I complained about being compared to the greatest vocalist who ever lived, I would be a very dumb, ungrateful person. So I can't complain. It's a massive compliment.
You think she's the greatest vocalist?
For sure. Her voice is something that's untouched. Her range, her control, her ability. I take it as a compliment, but I'm very excited when people listen to my whole album and get to know my sound. By the way, hater, you think she's the greatest vocalist? Fuck you.
You seem to blur the lines between being a girly girl and someone who likes to be scared.
Ew. Are you hitting on her, you fucking freak? Here's the thing. I love Audrey Hepburn and Chanel. I'm super girly when it comes to fashion. But on the inside, I'm only fascinated with dark, macabre, and weird things. Like the Thriller video, like Tim Burton. She's literally you, by the way. Ariana Grande saw Talk to Me in theaters. Like, that's where she's at. Ariana Grande's seen Skinamarink. Okay,
what's the cancer of it all? You announced your relationship with Nathan Skies from The Wanted on Twitter.
Sykes.
Sykes. From The Wanted on Twitter. Is social media a scary place for celebrities?
No, everyone's got something to say, but I'd rather be the person who's honest than the person who's like, oh, that's personal, I'm not going to tell you. I've always had an open, honest relationship with my fans.
What's been the most ridiculous thing to happen to you on social media?
Guys, I'm so sorry for what I'm about to say. I do not endorse this statement, and neither does Matthew, but we are literally just reading this as it happens to us, okay? I took a selfie, and everybody was like, there's a big black dildo on the floor.
Yes, the alleged black dildo. People were talking about this like an hour ago.
I was like, are you kidding me? That's a microphone for my looping machine because I'm a singer. Editorial note, Ariana showed us a picture of the looping machine. People have too much damn time on their hands and just need Jesus, if you ask me. I hope they find something better to do with their time.
Are you looking to transition from being a teen star or reintroduce yourself?
No, I don't think it has to be a reintroduction because the public has only known me as a character for so long. They know me as Kat, so I think of it as an introduction to Ariana. It's not something I think about, quote, how can I show the world I'm grown up, I'm sexy or more mature? I don't feel comfortable flaunting my body that much yet. I don't need to do that just to be shown I'm grown up. I don't want people to talk about my choice. I don't want people to talk about my choices or how little I'm wearing. I just want to be the conversation to be about the music and what I'm creating, which is such a sad thing. Okay, keep going.
Do you think there will be a time when you will paint yourself as a sex symbol?
Ew. She's 20. Dude, back off. Okay, no. I don't see myself as a sexy, and I'm not comfortable being sexy and dressing sexy. I don't see myself ever becoming a sex symbol.
What do you think of the transition Miley Cyrus is going through?
Again, trying to pit her against the other people in her caliber for not being like other girls. Quote, Miley is like she is having the best time of her life, and I don't think anybody who's giving her a hard time is wishing deep down they were having as much fun as she is right now. People are so cruel. I think that's bullying, and she should do whatever the hell she wants. Everybody needs to have more fun. It's not your taste. Don't look at it. I get so hyped up about Miley thing because I think she's cool.
But it is a drastic transformation.
Sure, as long as she's happy, though, right? Which is, again, such a good way to answer that. Like, yes, she drastically changed. Who cares?
Justin Bieber is also going through a big transformation. How close are you two?
Not very, but he's a friend. We never see or talk to each other, but he's really nice. And whenever we are in the same building, he's friendly and we play music for each other.
Is he flirty?
No, he's super respectful of my situation.
What is your biggest fear?
It's the little things that freak me out, like swallowing pills, people being sick, and I can't stand germs. I'm terrified of looking straight into the camera. I see people on the other side of the lens in the whole judgmental world of pop culture waiting with their pitchforks and torches. At the end of the day, I don't care what they have to say, but knowing that every little thing I do is documented is a lot of pressure. I guess that's where it comes from.
You're afraid of the camera, but you're in front of one a lot.
But when I act, I don't look in the camera, and they aren't judging me. They're judging my character. Now, can I say something?
I feel like gross after reading that interviewer.
Matt, what is something that people accuse Ariana Grande being a diva, like an example of her diva behavior as it relates to cameras?
Oh, what, like stealing the show, kind of like making yourself the main character
when
kind of thing?
When she is being photographed or interviewed, is there a specific angle she likes to be photographed or interviewed from?
Yeah, it looks like it sometimes.
Well, no. What is the thing that everyone says? That she only likes to be photographed from her left side?
Oh my God. Yeah. Sorry. I completely forgot about that. No, you're
This
totally
was
right,
before this ever came to light that was what it was. But if you really reframe it, right? Like, yes, it might be that she thinks her left side is better. But also,
Well, we all
if
have
she
that.
is professing that she has a fear of looking straight into the camera and feeling vulnerable and feeling like people are judging her and that like the world is watching her and she can like, you know, get this anxiety looking into the camera. Would you ever want to be photographed looking directly into the thing that gives you anxiety?
It's like such a normal thing to feel too.
You would turn.
Yeah.
And then what does that turn into? Oh, every time I photograph Ariana Grande, she has to be photographed facing away from the camera. Fuck
It's
you.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Fuck you. She told you all. Why? And you still went and were like, actually, no, it's because she's a huge bitch and we should punish her. Okay. Now, this is the two last things we get of Ariana Grande in 2013. And we're going to go quick. So this is from her wiki, this quote, but this was in Teen Vogue. It's just that Teen Vogue didn't include this in the online version of this article, and I couldn't find the PDF of this issue. So cover star Ariana Grande lets you see inside her crazy charmed life. So, quote, I was dating a boy who made me a different person, and my family was like, you've lost your light, you're constantly distracted. If I waited too long to text him back, it was the end of the world. And it was just a very unhealthy relationship. So, she at the time was rumored to have broken up from Nathan Sykes. However, the interview actually took place in October when she was doing all the press that we were just reading. And so the Nathan stuff was actually not at all included in it. And she was talking about Jai Brooks, who again is now being resurfaced as this person Ariana Grande has hurt and has damaged. And she was like such an evil person. She has a history of cheating. And she's saying that like he was controlling, his behavior was unhealthy.
Yeah, it just sounds really toxic.
Dynamic was toxic. And we're supposed to feel what? Bad? That they had a toxic relationship and that she's like a horrible person because of it? Who hasn't had a toxic relationship? Assuming it was just toxic, right? Like that's really what I wanted to focus on in this episode in particular is kind of going
She's like very normal, like throughout all of this. Like they're trying to spin it this whole way, but everything she talks about is so regular. Like
going back through these like kind of like hit points that everyone is bringing up about her and being like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make quite sense, right? Like let's look at actually what she's saying here. So this is in Cosmo. This comes out December 30th, 2013. And it's Ariana Grande says her Twitter haters are evil as hell. So Cosmo writes, welcome to the wild world of Ariana Grande, one of the hottest up-and-comers in music right now, thanks to the smash hit success of her debut album, Yours Truly. Grande's been sent around the globe in order to promote it, zipping through Paris, Berlin, Amsterdam, New York, and Japan in a matter of weeks. In Amsterdam, Grande was mobbed by fans when she tried to make her way through the airport. Quote, I never want to be the person who avoids my own fans, so I always try and stop and say hi. But it turned into a big mosh of people and it became quite dangerous. I got sent to the police station and they told me not to come back to that airport. Later, so many fans camped out to see the singer that the manager of her hotel dubbed Grande a safety risk and forbid her from going out on her balcony to wave to them. Quote, I just went out anyway. I said, you can't stop me. That's the thing that I get in trouble for, loving my fans too much. Despite literally being surrounded by people, she's confessed to feeling loneliness. Quote, I didn't know that I was capable of going to so many places in so few days. It's really hard for me and my friend Alexa because she's in school and she doesn't have the flexibility to come visit me on the road whenever she wants. But whenever she's on break, I try to fly her in and keep her with me as long as I can. It's funny, one time I tweeted her school in Gainesville, like, quote, I'm keeping Alexa, and they tweeted me back, quote, all right, make sure she does her homework. A few days later, Grande appears on stage at the American Music Awards,
It's like, who asked?
Poured into a slinky red Jessica Rabbit dress. She stands stock still under a spotlight, singing an a cappella version of The Way before moving into an earnest rendition of Tattooed Heart. There's no choreography, no pyrotechnics, just Ariana singing her songs, and she gets a standing ovation. So this is an editorialization. The author notes that on Sam and Cat, it was obvious Aria was a big star. As we said in our first episode, she was raised in Florida and lands a big role in the musical 13 when she was a teenager, where she also meets some of the people that she later goes on to work with in Victorious. From there, she moves to LA and lands a role on Victorious, then Sam and Cat, which she spun into a music career. And this is again from The Guardian, quote, although Grande considers herself the furthest thing from headline-chasing divas, her romantic life has given the gossip sites plenty to talk about. On her wrist, nestled next to a red Kabbalah bracelet, a string of letters spells out Nathan, a nod to the 19-year-old Nathan Sykes, the youngest member of British boy band The Wanted. The two recorded the duet Almost Is Never Enough, but Grande kept their dating under wraps until they went public last fall in a manner more Nickelodean than MTV. Fans spotted them holding hands at Disneyland. Grande, who calls herself a hopeless romantic, was won over by their first date. Quote, we were going back to the hotel to watch a movie and he had Lauderay macarons and sunflowers waiting. I love Parisian baked goods and sunflowers are my favorite flower. He had taken the DVD player out of the bedroom and into the living room because he said he didn't want to take me into the bedroom on the first date. Still, when your life moves as fast as Grande's does right now, nothing's guaranteed, except that whatever happens will be fodder for another hit song. Maybe that's one reason she remains wary of going too public with her relationships. Quote, sometimes people get too fixated on what people are going to say. At the end of the day, you're in a relationship because you love that person, not because of what other people think. How does she deal with her Twitter haters then? Quote, oh, they're evil as hell. I don't block them anymore because I feel like it's giving them more negativity in return. So I just let it happen and forgive them and move on. Those people are fighting their own battles. Now,
I'm going to use that.
Yeah. We're moving on to 2014. So and Ariana is later in 2016 the subject of a passage in Naya Rivera, may she rest in peace, one of our greatest ever.
Truly.
She is a subject of a passage in the book. And this is something I will say, longtime Naya Rivera fan. I also I was one of the reporters in LA following the investigation into her disappearance.
Yeah.
And I remember texting you that entire time. That was like, I think maybe one of the darker weeks of my life. Just
that was really horrible.
Waiting on the police updates, tuning into the scanner, like getting the updates from the publicist.
It was so tragic too.
And like, you know, they would have the press conferences every day at the lake. And it was just like, I mean, I just remember the like vibes changing so fast amongst all the other reporters of like, oh God. Like,
yeah, horrible day. Horrible.
Yeah, no. So I would just long to say, like, I get defensive of Naya, and we were defensive of Naya, as you heard in our Leah Michelle episode, where Naya also made a brief appearance because of the way that, you know, people use Naya for stories without really considering what it is that she's actually saying. And she did have something negative to say about Ariana Grande, and is her right. But the way that this story has been framed, I think, has been taken out of context and is actually disrespectful to Naya and what it was that her book actually said about Ariana Grande, because it is not the story that people on TikTok are running with, right? You get the like, Ariana got caught with Big Sean while she was dating Naya Rivera, et cetera, right? But if you really are reading the book, that's not quite what happens. So this is from Us Weekly at the time, who blurbed the book, quote, this is from her book, Sorry, Not Sorry. We'd been fighting, meaning Naya and Big Sean, for 5 days straight while he was traveling. And then one day when he was back in LA, he said he didn't want to see me. Rivera recalls of the moment she learned of the rapper and Grande. Quote, well, asshole, I've got a key to your house. I walk in, I go downstairs, and guess what little girl is sitting cross-legged on the couch listening to music? It rhymes with Smariana Schmonde. Now, what everyone has said about this is that Naya walked in on them having sex, that Naya caught him cheating, that Naya, you know, found Big Sean in bed with Ariana Grande, that Ariana Grande was kissing Big Sean and Naya Rivera came in. None of that is what's happening.
Is the case. Yeah.
Big Sean wasn't there. Ariana was fully clothed. And besides all of that, she was downstairs, not anywhere near a bedroom, listening to music. Because, as we later find out, her and Big Sean were friends, which, again, something inappropriate might have been happening. but they were making a music together and that he was going to be featured on some of her songs and collaborate on some of her music. So it's just interesting to me how this has kind of become a tall tale over the last 2 weeks of like how people have spun this, right? Because again, if I was dating a guy who I was fighting with and he said he'd never want to see me again or didn't want to see me, and I go to his house anyways with a key and enter without his permission and some girl's there, yeah, I would definitely connect the dots. I'd be furious too.
But that's on him. Like,
but also let's not lie and say that something happened that didn't happen in Naya Rivera's words. And also, once again, this gets put on Ariana. This doesn't get put on Big Sean.
Exactly.
And again, I think Ariana Grande certainly has a penchant for making bad choices. I think that's clear. I think we are both on the same page about that. But like, as we've discussed with men in the past, do you think men tell the people they're cheating with the truth? Do you think
men ever tell the truth?
Do you think he was like, God damn, me and Ariana, like we really are like the best friends ever. And Ariana, my bitch girlfriend, is so evil and like she hates me and I'm breaking up with her and our relationship's over. You can totally come over, right?
Right.
Like, you can hear this in the man's voice because this is a story that plays out time and time again. How often are women duped? Now, maybe should we exercise common sense sometimes? Absolutely. But like, why is it always that Ariana Grande, the onus of being the only good person on the entire world in any of her relationships always falls on her and never seems to catch any of the men astray, you know? Never seems to like ever ruin their reputations, make them international gossip fodder. I mean, obviously her fan base is bigger, but I just find that interesting. So
it's almost there's a pattern here, but yeah.
Yeah, almost like there's something happening here behind the scenes, but I digress. So Ariana Grande, this is in July 21st, 2014. We're not going to talk about this. I just thought it was funny. Ariana Grande kept awake by loud frog sex. So then in September 4th, 2014, Ariana Grande breaks up with boyfriend Jai Brooks. Get the details. Now, Naya Rivera and Big Sean broke off their engagement, and then that was before she saw her and Ariana Grande in her house. And so they break up in August, like allegedly sometime after Naya saw Big Sean with Ariana Grande, right? So like just so we're clear on the relationship front. So a source tells me that Ariana breaks up again with Jai Brooks. By the way, she gets back with Jai after the new year for a few months and then breaks up with him again. So a source tells me that Grande 21 ended things with the 19-year-old Aussie last month. Quote, when her grandfather was dying, everyone was there for her. People flew to Florida to be with her, but Jai didn't. Ariana just felt like he wasn't there when he should have been. Oof. It wasn't even a month ago that the Problem singer posted pics of herself kissing the Genosians prankster on Instagram. But earlier today, Grande tweeted a cryptic message that I'm told was inspired by Brooks. Quote, July was painful for many reasons, but of all the personal loss I suffered last month, the loss of my grandfather, a true gentleman, was the only one that truly mattered. I thank my loves for being so in tune to what is good and right for you in my heart. I hope you will surround yourselves with people who will be there for you through the bad times, not just the good. I thank everyone who was here for me when I needed them as the ones who weren't really broke my heart. Now, yes, like I said, she breaks up with Nathan Sykes shortly after some of those profiles came out in 2013, gets back with Jai after she had said, there was someone who she had dated that made her a different person. And then, of course, all these PR relationships dissolve into nothingness, right? Because that's what Nathan was, a PR relationship. The 19-year-old singer is doing a song with a pop boy from the UK, and now they're dating. Oh, wow. They're such in a real relationship. They must love each other so much. So, staying safe, exploring sassy. This is in August 21st, 2014 in the New York Times. Matt, why don't you read these first couple paragraphs?
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, Ariana Grande, signature high ponytail, her late grandfather's slouchy jacket, go-go boots with gem-encrusted soles, was sitting in this room, just a bit agitated but playing it cool. On the table was an array of water bottles hand-lettered to spell out My Everything, the name of her second album, which will be released on Monday. The CGI-heavy sci-fi themed video for her new single, Break Free, was about to be released, and she hadn't the chance to approve it or even see the finished version. Mr. Braun, her music manager, was doing his best to reassure her, popping in with updates, to which Miss Grande batted her eyelashes in a manner that suggested she could handle this. Yes, but she'd rather not have to again. Miss Grande may be prim, but she is not soft. Since the release of The Way, her debut single last year, Miss Grande, 21, has been on a quiet campaign to rewrite the expectations of young female pop star representation, generally avoiding hypersexuality. She's also challenged the idea that in order to move forward from a child star past, she was a Nickelodeon fixture for years, one must make an aggressive turn toward thematic maturity. In the middle of the peak Miley Cyrus era, this felt like a revelation. Quote, I wanted it to be, oh wow, listen to this, not, oh wow, look at this, Miss Grande said. Yours truly, oh yeah.
So this is interesting here, and I kind of wanted to focus on this for just a second. This is what I find very fascinating about this, and I think makes a lot of sense to the current reaction about this, right? Because like there's been a lot of cheating going on in relationships in pop music. There's been a lot of unfaithfulness, and there's been a lot of like bad decisions being made. But like she was always positioned as not Miley Cyrus, right? Like she's
it's like an endless comparison.
1950s pinup girl, right? Like she's not doing drugs and partying and drinking.
It's modest.
Although later on, we know that she drinks quite a bit after some tragedies that she experiences, and that like kind of her substance stuff kind of comes to the forefront. It's interesting to me that like this is really the narrative that people are spinning about her, but it also makes perfect sense why now people who have this idyllic childhood memory of Ariana Grande that was formed when they were teenagers and in a parasocial relationship with their favorite pop star are now puritanical adults that feel betrayed by this person that they have idolized as being a very specific thing that was completely of itself a media construction meant to sell more albums. Like, oh, guys, you don't have to worry about listening to Ariana Grande. She's actually a good person. She's not sexy, and she's not trying to degrade herself, and she's not going to do bad stuff just to get ahead. She's just a regular old girl who loves the 1950s pinup culture, and she's soft and demure, and she'd never do anything wrong. She'd never disappoint you. Something that Scooter Braun created as a persona to make her stand out, right? Because he saw her and was like, how are we going to market this person? It is a crowded landscape. What are we going to do? Just like he did with Justin Bieber, just like he did with all of his other clients.
Well, because everyone has to fit a niche, right? Like all we found out with Justin Bieber through all of that is in the darkest moments of Justin Bieber's career, especially with the PR, Scooter Braun was like, oh, we're still going to work with it. Like we're still going to keep it going. We don't actually care as much about what they're doing, but more so how we can like sell the next album from it and create a storyline and create this narrative.
So this is interesting because they continue, quote, yours truly, her 2013 debut album was an unlikely collision of flamboyant 1990s pop R&B with 1950s puritanism. Novel and all at the time, unfashionable. I wanted to be a 50s pinup girl, she said. A good girl, goody two-shoes, Audrey Hepburn, classic, safe, feminine, soft, girly. She asserted her maturity by not making the aesthetic choices that would likely be expected of a singer of her age and prominence. High energy dance pop or hip hop carpetbagging, but kept her music largely clean. On The Weeknd being on her album, So Much for Prim Then, one of Miss Grande's go-to strategies is to use collaborators to say what she can't quite. And it's effective trickery. She gets the reflected frisson while largely maintaining innocence. Quote, because of the way she was raised, she's still a lady, Mr. Braun said. A lady says, I know what's going on, but I don't need to say it right in front
Death
of you.
to all of you.
Fuck you, Scooter Braun. Fuck you.
It's like the endless, like, oh, we want her to be like a baddie and like sexy, but like she can't say that. So she's going to be prim proper, but we're going to say it in a way where you can't tell, like a wink and a nod. It is just like so American to be like, we can't have women do literally anything without creating conflict.
God forbid.
She can't be sexy because that's wrong. And if she's not sexy, she has to be perfect and beautiful, but she can't because she needs to wink that there's actually more to it because we can't just settle on either.
It's horrible.
I can't with the 1950s puritanism. Like it is just too much because they know exactly what the board wants to hear from these music agencies. They want to know exactly what type of market this will fill and exactly who they can sell this album to. I hate it so much.
Now, this next one. So this starts what I would call the Ariana Grande Diva-sance. And this is really where things start to take off and is going to be where we end for the week. So let's end on the back half of 2014 when the run-up to My Everything starts to unravel a little bit. She is collaborating with batter and batter. I'm using heavy quotations around that. People, she's brought in rappers again for her second album. She's working with Black artists. She is, having more and more press opportunities that go wrong for her. In terms of just the general public sentiment, and a narrative starts to form about her being a diva. So
it's crazy, by the way, just real quick, looking at My Everything, having Iggy Azalea, Problem, Break Free with Zed, obviously, Big Sean, Charles Gambino, The Weeknd, A$AP Ferg, and then of course Bang Bang of it all. Like that is, it's everything. This really is so pivotal.
Yeah.
I think back now.
So Mayim Bialik, fuck you, Mayim Bialik, criticizes racy billboard ad featuring Ariana Grande. So
this is still when Big Bang Theory was like happening, right? Like,
yes.
Oh God, how terrifying.
Mayim Bialik writes a post for Kveler, a Jewish parenting blog, titled "The Problem with That Giant Billboard of Ariana Grande."
Oh my God.
In her piece, Bialik, a self-described liberal, describes her socially conservative approach to raising her two children, Miles and Frederick. Bialik says that she's not bothered because she's bothered because she doesn't want her kids, quote, learning about sex from billboards. Quote,
oh, here we go.
There is one for Ariana Grande, and I will go ahead and admit I have no idea who she is or what she does. Based on the billboard, she sells lingerie or stiletto heels or plastic surgery because every woman over 22 wishes she had that body, I'm sure. The billboard is reminiscent of the covers for Grande's latest album, My Everything. The pop star is shown barely clad as she sits on a stool in a provocative pose while grabbing her stiletto heel. It's literally the cover for the album.
I was going to say, I'm like, this is so overreaction.
Why is she in her underwear on this billboard, Bialik asks. And if she has a talent, is she a singer? Then why does she have to sell herself in lingerie? I mean, I know that society is patriarchal and women are expected to be sexy and sexually available no matter what we do in society. But I guess now I need to explain that to my sons.
Oh my God. No. It's like the worst argument in the book to fight about the presentation of media around you. Like, fucking grow up. Yeah. And just talk to your children about what the world is like. I can't stand it.
So actually, if you want to hear us do a rundown of Ariana Grande's 2014 diva antic narrative, you can actually listen to our bonus episode next week where we are going to go through some of these diva antics bit by bit. But they are really more just like salacious gossip items than like anything like meaty or worth discussing here, except in passing. So instead, I want to focus on the New York Daily News. September 26, 2014, puts out a piece called Barrage of Criticism Against Ariana Grande Prompts a Counterattack. Now, these diva antics allegedly had been mounting, and there was all this criticism coming on all sides. And Ariana Grande's camp had been ignoring it at first. But when some of the information that they were leaking and some of these stories were coming from someone in her camp, they decide to go on the offensive. Now, do I necessarily agree with pulling out this specific information we're about to discuss as a get back at the person strategy in the press? No, but that's not Ariana Grande's decision. That's Scooter Braun's decision. However, it is very interesting in hindsight, these stories that people are talking about as going back and being like, Ariana Grande's always been a horrible person. Look at all these stories from 2014, 2013, 2015, because it's like, in hindsight of this, which by the way goes totally under the radar and is in the New York Daily News, so no one's looking at it for facts. Quote, the problem singer has been battered in the press lately by a string of stories that paint her as a brat and a diva. Now her camp is mounting a campaign to discredit her former best friend and choreographer, Isaac Calpito, Isaac the choreographer, who defended that first album cover. Quote, because Grande's people believe he is the main source of the unflattering tales. Quote, After the latest wave of stories hit the paper this week, Grande confidants sent unsolicited, bullet-pointed lists of Calpito's supposed transgressions. They claim, among other things, that there have been numerous complaints by many women working for and around Grande's team about inappropriate behavior by Calpito while he was working for the singer. The snitches also claimed that he was suspended and later resigned after a lengthy investigation into the alleged behavior. Grande and Calpito had their falling out over the summer, but Calpito is trying to stay above the fray. Interesting way, by the way, to write about someone, Miss New York Daily News, who was allegedly being accused of horrible behavior by women.
Yeah.
Interesting way to phrase this.
2014.
I know, back when sexual assault and harassment weren't something that people actually felt mattered.
Like, or were compelled to buy.
After rumors began to circulate that he was behind some of the stories, he tweeted, quote, "I wish Ariana the best, and even if I had a story to sell, I wouldn't." The pair were once thick as thieves. As recently as 5 months ago, Grande posted on her Instagram about Calpito, quote, "Thank you for the endless inspiration and for pushing me to grow as an artist and to shake my booty. I love you." Unfortunately for the former Nickelodeon star, an Australian newspaper reported that Grande will only be photographed from the left side. Since then, a slew of reports have come out, including one story that she was a monster on a Marie Claire magazine shoot. Now again, these have all been things that have resurfaced in recent weeks. And what's interesting to me is it's like, if we just take the story about only being photographed from your left side at face value, I just don't know what people expect out of somebody who at 18 years old got thrust into the public spotlight, whether by choice or not, by Scooter Braun, who we know has completely destroyed the self-image and reputations and worth of various children in the entertainment industry, and been like, God, this evil bitch 20-year-old only wants to be photographed from her left side. It's like,
it is
yeah,
like
bitch.
the lowest of stakes ever.
If I was at the most vulnerable point in my like young adult life, do you think I would you like to be photographed as much as Ariana Grande? Is the question that I have. Would you be so comfortable all the time just being like, well, and again, it is her job.
And I'm similar. Like, I have a side. I think we all like kind of have one, don't we? Like,
yes,
it's really,
yes.
let's be honest, y'all. Like, please.
No, but also the like, just like everything. Also, the Australian newspaper. So even E-host Juliana Rancic, and Juliana Rancid, as she is famously known for, who people are now also bringing up on TikTok, famously has never said anything untoward or nasty about young women ever. Never, ever in her entire career.
No.
She's still gainfully employed by E! News because she's never been mean to a single woman, young girl, child ever. She's never said anything mean about anybody. I don't know what you're talking about. Jumped on the bandwagon, complaining that Grande's team demanded that Rancic switch places with the singer before an interview on the American Music Awards red carpet last November, so that only Grande's left side was on camera. Quote, it was like, you either get on the other side or we don't do an interview. And multiple sources have told Confidential about how the now legendary autograph session, which ended with Grande slipping into an elevator and saying of her giddy fans, quote, "I hope they all fucking die." Which, by the way, actually made me love her the first time I read about this on Tumblr, where people were like, she was so mean to her fans. But again, also, maybe at the moment she did want them all to fucking die. She is, I think, valid for saying that of people who follow her around.
That's me getting in an elevator after being in public in general.
Yeah. A rep for Grande declined to comment on her story. Calpito told Confidential, quote, I haven't been the source of any of these stories about Ariana, and I wish her nothing but the best. Well, sure.
Yeah, that's what they all feel.
Ariana Grande in the Telegraph, and this is going to be the last story we end with. If you want to call me a diva, I'll say cool. This is October 17th, 2014. We're going to end here because I think
winning the IDJF war, truly.
I think this is a really pivotal point in her career, this interview specifically, and you'll see why as we read this. So, Matt, why don't you read the first couple paragraphs?
It's hard to keep up or catch up with Ariana Grande. Our interview was scheduled for one date in New York. Then it was rescheduled for a new date in Los Angeles. It was rescheduled back to New York on a third date. Then, once I was in New York, the interview was canceled a couple hours before the appointed hour. Sincere apologies followed. I even received a call from Grande's manager, Scott Scooter Braun, who piloted Justin Bieber's ascent to stardom, and we finally met 3 days later in LA. What goes on? One of the fastest rising careers in music. That's what. The 21-year-old singer from Florida is the brightest new international star of 2014. Grande then, and is in considerable demand. Our final New York appointment was nixed after she had been up much of the previous night, first performing on the opening episode of the 40th season of Saturday Night Live, then singing at the gay nightclub BPM until after 3 a.m. She subsequently lost her voice and developed a heavy cold, but it seems even her management don't see her that often, and they are a short drive from her Beverly Hills home. Before we start talking, Grande puts in a round of warm hellos to her team and collects an award she has been given in absentia. It's the Sexiest Vegetarian Celebrity 2014 honor from PETA 2, the youth wing of People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. She may have won MTV's Best Pop Video Moon Man for Problem in the summer, but it's a fair bet this golden pig-shaped statue will gain more prominent real estate on her mantelpiece. Grande is a vegan. Quote, I vacillate between being raw and not raw vegan, she says. Do I feel healthier? It's the way to go, I have to say. So how come she has a cold? Quote, well, because I've been going nonstop for 7 months, comes her playful, but with a hint of reproach reply. I haven't slept in about 7 months, so that I'll probably do it as well. Grande came off for prescribed bed rest to shoot a video for her next single, the gothic R&B ballad Love Me Harder, and didn't finish up until 6 a.m. Nonetheless, her big brown eyes are alert and heavily made up, and she is dressed in a swishy casual wear, clumpy snow white trainers, skin-tight stone-washed jeans, vests with cardigan tied around her waist, bountiful hair extensions tied into her signature high ponytail. Still, perhaps that fatigue is gnawing at her. When we start talking, Grande seems a little cool, her answers concise, her body language bolt upright. But soon, a charming, easygoing nature emerges, albeit hand in hand with naked ambition. You certainly wouldn't trifle with Ariana Grande. Does she think Cyrus is transitioning well from her teen career to the adult world? She says, absolutely. She's so authentic and so unapologetic. She says of Cyrus, who has been open about her love for marijuana and who recently stepped out during New York Fashion Week in a little more than nipple pasties. Back to Ariana. It's great. She's so happy. That's something to be celebrated. People get mad at her for being herself, but she's happy. And they, she adds pointedly, are probably not. I just can't get over how many times they have to ask her about Miley Cyrus. It's like every single interview from this year. Grande joined the local Little Palm Family Theater, aged 8. She landed the title role in a production of Annie. I was so young and my mom didn't want me to leave at the rehearsal, didn't want to leave me at the rehearsals alone, she says, but you weren't allowed to have your parents there unless they were in the show. So my mom auditioned, which was the funniest thing that's ever happened in the history of the world because my mom is a CEO. She has her own companies, her own full schedule. Joan Grande runs Hose McCann Communications, a company established by Grande's maternal grandfather. Quote, they design and manufacture the Marines' communication equipment, like for the Army and the Navy, Grande says proudly. She insists that her mother wasn't concerned by her infant daughter's enthusiasms. She was like, yeah, my kid is rad. In fact, Grande credits Joan with inspiring her dark tastes. Quote, I've never seen her wear anything but black, she says. She says it's part of who she is. A psychic she saw when she was younger told her that black was her color, so she really decided to run with that one, I guess. Grande was raised a Catholic, but in adolescence began questioning her faith out of the love and support of her brother, who is gay. When my brother was told that God didn't love him, I was like, okay, that's not cool. They were building a Kabbalah center in Florida, so we both checked it out and really had a connection with it. The Kabbalah movement, Madonna is its most high-profile adherent, sort of struck with me. And since then, my life has unfolded in a really beautiful way. And I think that has a lot to do with the tools I've learned through Kabbalah. I really do. Asked to explain those tools, she is hesitant, not to say bashful, but eventually she says, quote, you have to watch your intentions, make sure you're not giving in to your ego. You have to numb your reactive state. You have the power to change your reality. She says, clapping her hands together, you have to take a second and breathe and reassess how you want to approach or react to a situation or approach an obstacle or deal with a negative person in your space. That takes a lot of self-control and practice and, I guess, willpower, she concludes with an embarrassed laugh. Does she love her horror and reported belief in demons coexist with spirituality? It does in my world, she says, smiling. Do I believe in demons? I believe in unexplained energies. And should any record label executive or video director try to force her into a particular role? Ariana says, I will never succumb to that. And I think that's because of my mother and because of my family. I come from a strong, loud Italian family. We don't take shit from anybody. But as someone who's also very sensitive and likes to please people, it's conflicting for me because a lot of the time I like to say, okay, if you say so. The people-pleasing side goes against the recent tabloid narrative that enjoys painting Grande as a precocious diva. I certainly see no sign of it. Despite the actually rather cool love of all things sci-fi and scary, she appears too straight to wobble. Quote, spiritual enlightenment and self-protection are more effective than drugs and alcohol, I feel, Grande states, as if by rote. She also concedes that her minuscule fame means that, quote, I can't have much alcohol without becoming very, very silly. So Ariana Grande, buoyed by success, family, faith, and fans, is focusing on the positives. This includes her first run of international concerts, the Honeymoon Tour, which starts in February. And they include her personal life. It is true that she is dating Sean Anderson, aka Big Sean, the uncredited whisperer on Problem and duet partner on the current album track Best Mistake. This is the briefest pause. Neither party has publicly confirmed their relationship before she replies, yes, he is one of the most amazing men in the whole world, and that includes my grandfather and my brother. I think the world of him, and he's an amazing person. That's kind of all there is to it. Then her face flushes and she flings herself down the couch, burying her face in a cushion. It's a lovely and real reaction. The pop cultural phenomenon Ariana Grande is still just a girl.
Now, there's a couple threads that get put up in that.
Yeah.
And I think they speak for themselves, and we're going to end it there because we are running a bit long and we can jump into this next week. But
absolutely.
All in, like, where are you really at with all of this? I've said a lot on this episode, so I'm going to let what I have said speak for itself. But I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Honestly, yeah, I feel like 2012 to 2014, which is literally all the time we covered in this, which is insane to think for an hour and 40 minutes almost, incredibly pivotal. And I think just back in that time in music, that time in culture as well, especially since everyone involved in this and people like we know are all born kind of around the same time, I do feel like it is a very, what's the word? I don't know. It really is just like a pivotal moment before I think everything develops. Like I can see her being pigeonholed and trying to stop it, but I think her talent and ability and the people she's around really weren't going to let that happen.
Yeah,
it's how I feel after our Justin episodes where you're just like, I need to digest
and
this.
Selena too. I just
oh my God, right? Yeah.
It just makes me sad. Like it feels so inevitable and like it's a cycle that keeps repeating itself. And it's just like, what else is there to say?
She's just like, I think the thing is too, is I see her in this place, like being in both worlds. And it's kind of sad to know that like she left and can't come back to the world she was before, which is what we say always about being a celebrity is it's like a curse that lasts for the rest of your life. And this is like, as she's being cursed by the public and by everyone around her that wants her to be like the biggest pop star of all time. Yeah. Like it's truly out of her control. And these fucking reporters, man, they're so fucking awful.
They are some of the worst people alive. Like,
not so much the one we just read, but the ones before, especially like that Guardian piece. Like, oh my God.
Isn't it funny how it's just all so predictable?
It's literally all like the Scarlet Letter the whole way through as well. Like once you've been branded this like type of woman, you literally can never escape.
You're a hottie with a body who prays until you're not.
Lily, pretty girl, let's hate on her is like, I think the theme of eating for free at this point. Like that can really summarize our philosophies.
God damn it. Well,
so what do we have in store for part 3? What is in the mind of a mastermind? Because I have all those notes about the actual Ethan Slater of it all and everything that's happened. Just keep pushing this further.
Wouldn't
and further
you like to know what's
from
happening
this timeline?
In episode 3? Wouldn't you like to know?
I'm on for the ride as well. But for Patreon,
you guys
are for Patreon.
Yeah, for the Patreon, tune in next week for some diva stuff. And then episode 3, you're just going to have to wait to see, guys. You're on this ride with us now.
You can't get off.
You can't get off.
Joan is the ride operator who sees the kid like crying on the ride as it goes through another round. And you're just like, keep it going.
You are my everything. Because you are. You are my everything.
I was listening to yours truly before recording again. And I'm just like, damn, the bops.
What an album.
The boppery.
Oh, what an album.
Should we get out of here?
We should. 3,
2, 1. Ooh.
30 for 35. Fuck me till the daylight. Wait, can I read you my favorite run on 34 plus 35?
Sure.
Which means I want a 69 with you. Oh,
Sure.
shit. Wait. Okay, wait. I just love this part. Where is it? Baby, you might need a seatbelt when I ride it. I'ma leave it open like a door. Come inside it. Even though I'm wifey, you can hit it like a side chick. Don't need no side dick, no. Got the neighbors yelling earthquake. 4.5 when I make the bed shake. Put it down heavy even though it's lightweight. It's lightweight. Yeah, babe. Yeah, we started at midnight. Go to the sunrise. Done at the same time. But who's counting when we got it for life? I know all your favorite spots. We can take it from the top. You're such a dream come true. Make a bitch want to hit snooze.
It's Shakespearean, honestly.
Shakespeare couldn't have said it better.
They'll be studying this in textbooks.
I'm going to leave it open like a door. Come inside it.
Wifey, but a side chick.
Even though I'm wifey, you can hit it like a side chick. Don't
That's
need
just
no side
amazing.
dick, no. Goodbye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Eating for Free, which is written and hosted by myself, Joan Summers, and Matthew Lawson, and produced by Ashlyn Thomas and myself, with music from our friend Pluto. For more information about this episode and our show, go to eatingforfree.com. And if you want weekly bonus episodes, go to patreon.com/eatingforfree, which helps support this show and keep it going. We've also got merch at eatingforfree.com/merch.